Luke Hemmings was a collector of curiosities from across the universe, his home filled with trinkets and treasures from distant worlds. His interest was more than mere acquisition. Each piece told a story, a glimpse into a culture or a civilization far removed from his own earthly experiences. On a crisp Saturday morning, Luke visited one of the more clandestine markets in the outer rim of the city, a place teeming with artifacts smuggled from the far reaches of space. At the market, Luke's attention was caught by a capsule, unlike anything he had seen before. It was ornate, encrusted with jewels that shimmered under the artificial lights, and symbols etched deep into its metal hide, whispering tales of valor and war. The vendor, a shifty-eyed Graxillian, claimed it was a relic from the lost Amazonian star system, a place of warrior women and fierce battles. Skeptical but intrigued, Luke purchased a capsule, driven by a gut feeling that there was more to this artifact than mere decoration. Back in his private workshop, Luke examined the capsule more closely. It was clearly ancient, yet the technology it harbored was beyond anything known to current human engineering. As he fiddled with the locking mechanism, it suddenly hissed open, releasing a fog of cryogenic vapors. From within the mist emerged a figure, tall and imposing. The woman who stepped out of the capsule was like no one Luke had ever seen. Over 6 feet tall, with muscles sculpted from what must have been years of training and battle, her skin bore the marks of ancient ink, telling stories of victories and losses. Her hair, a cascade of white gold, fell around her shoulders, framing piercing blue eyes that flickered with confusion and slowly rising fury. "Where am I?" Her voice was a mix of command and bewilderment, her stance defensive. "You're on Earth," Luke explained, keeping his distance and his tone calm. "You were in some kind of cryogenic sleep inside this capsule. I bought it, thinking it was just a relic." A relic? Her eyes narrowed, and she took in her surroundings with a warrior's caution. "Am I to understand I was sold as an object?" "Not intentionally," Luke hurried to clarify. "I had no idea there was someone inside. I collect artifacts, not people." Her gaze softened slightly, the initial shock of her situation giving way to a strategic assessment. "I am Zara, last of the Taquari Amazons. If what you say is true, I am far from home in time. This world, it is alien to me." Luke nodded, his fascination with her origins growing by the second. "I can help you understand this place this time. But in return, I hope you'll share your story with me. I want to help if I can." Zara considered this, her posture relaxing marginally. "Very well, Earthling, but be warned, my trust is not easily earned." And so began the peculiar partnership between Luke and Zara. Over the following days, they exchanged knowledge and stories. Luke introduced her to the marvels of modern technology and the complexities of Earth's global culture. In return, Zara shared the history of her people, a matriarchal society of warriors who prized honor and skill in battle above all else. As the days turned into weeks, a mutual respect formed between them, bridging the vast differences in their backgrounds. Luke realized that Zara was not just a survivor of a lost world, but possibly the key to understanding a part of the universe that humanity had only begun to explore. For Zara, Earth became less of an alien world and more of a new battlefield, where her destiny was waiting to be rewritten, far from the echoes of her fallen people. In the initial days following her awakening, Zara's adjustment to Earth was a spectacle of both wonder and wariness. She observed everything with a tactical eye, from the mundane flow of traffic outside Luke's apartment to the complex interfaces of digital devices. Luke, for his part, approached her education with equal parts enthusiasm and caution, aware that every new piece of information could either bridge or widen the gap between them. One morning, Luke decided to introduce Zara to more of Earth's cultures beyond the confines of his apartment. They walked through the bustling streets of the city, the sounds and sights overwhelming to senses honed for battlefields, not urban sprawl. People hurried past, some casting curious glances at Zara's imposing figure and exotic appearance. At a small, quiet park, they sat down on a bench, a brief respite from the sensory overload. "It's a lot, isn't it?" Luke asked, watching her closely. Zara nodded, her eyes never stopping their constant movement, scanning and reassessing. "Your world is loud, crowded, yet there's a rhythm to it, a chaos that is not entirely unpleasant." Luke smiled. "That's one way to look at it. Everyone finds their own way to navigate the chaos. I guess you'll find yours too." Zara turned to him, her expression pensive. "On Tquara, my home, the chaos was different, less noise, more action. Our lives were dedicated to training, to honing our bodies and minds for the service of our tribe and our queen. Here, the battles are not so clear." "I can imagine," Luke said softly. "But maybe there are battles here that could use someone like you. Battles not fought with swords or guns, but with wills and wits." Her gaze sharpened, intrigued. "Explain." Luke led her through discussions about Earth's various struggles, political, environmental, social. He explained how every issue had sides, each believing in the righteousness of their cause. Zara listened intently, her mind already drawing parallels to the conflicts of her own world, the strategies and tactics that might be employed. Over the next few days, Luke introduced Zara to the internet, a vast network of information and connection that fascinated and at times frustrated her. They watched documentaries about Earth's history, its wars, its peace, its ongoing quest for balance. Zara absorbed it all with a voracious intellect, each piece reshaping her understanding of her new home. One evening, as they delved into Earth's Art of War, a documentary on military strategy and history, Zara's focus seemed to drift. Luke paused the video, concerned. "Is everything okay?" Zara looked at him, her face shadowed by thoughts. "Your wars, they're so different, yet similar to those of my people. We fought for honor, for survival. Your wars, they seem to fight shadows at times, ideals that shift like sand." Luke nodded, understanding the dissonance she felt. "Sometimes, that's exactly what it feels like. But people can be rallied to a common cause, to fight for something good, something real, like how we rally to protect our planet, or stand up for justice." Zara mulled over his words. "Perhaps I can find a cause here worthy of my skills, a battle that needs a warrior's heart." As they continued their explorations and discussions, the boundaries between teacher and student blurred. Zara's perspective on Earth evolved, shaped by her unique insights and experiences. In turn, Luke found himself learning from her about leadership, about commitment, and about the meaning of honor. Their partnership deepened, grounded in mutual respect and a growing understanding that together, they might indeed find a cause worth fighting for, merging the strategies of Earth with the valor of Tquara. This first encounter, though initially fraught with challenges, had set the stage for a journey neither of them could have anticipated. As Zara continued to adapt to Earth's ways, the pair began a more structured form of training. Luke had access to a private gym where they could train without attracting undue attention. This space became their sanctuary, a place where Zara could not only maintain her physical prowess, also teach Luke the fighting techniques of her people. The training sessions were intense. Zara instructed Luke in the art of hand-to-hand combat, a style that was fluid yet ferociously precise, designed to incapacitate an opponent with minimal effort. Luke, who had some basic martial arts training, found himself pushed to his limits, but he was eager to learn, driven by both the challenge and his deepening bond with Zara. During one such session, after a particularly grueling set of sparring drills, they took a break, sitting side by side on the gym floor, chest heaving and sweat dripping. Luke turned to Zara with a question that had been burning in his mind. "Zara, you've told me about the battles and the honor of your people, but what about you? What's your story?" Zara's eyes, usually so fierce and unyielding, softened as she looked away. "My story is one of loss and betrayal," she began, her voice low. "I was not merely a warrior. I was a guardian of my queen, sworn to protect her in our world. But when the invaders came, led by a traitor from our own ranks, we were unprepared. The battles were brutal, and in the end, my queen was slain, and I was taken captive. Luke listened, his expression one of rapt attention and growing anger at the injustice she had endured. They thought they had broken me, Zara continued, a fierce glint returning to her gaze. But they merely stoked the fires of my vengeance. I fought my way out, only to find my world in ruins. My people were scattered or enslaved. With nothing left but my honor, I let myself be put into cryosleep, a last gambit by my tribe to save something of our heritage, hoping that one day I might awaken to a chance at redemption. Luke reached out, placing a tentative hand on her shoulder. Then we'll find that chance together, he said firmly. You're not alone anymore, Zara. You have me, and together we can find a way to restore what was lost. His words seemed to anchor her, and a silent understanding passed between them. From that day forward, their training sessions doubled as strategic planning meetings. They explored potential ways to track down the remnants of her people and gather allies. Luke used his connections and resources to gather intelligence, while Zara prepared for the possibility of confronting her past. As their plans took shape, so too did their skills. Luke became proficient in Zara's combat techniques, while Zara learned to navigate and utilize Earth's technology to their advantage. She was particularly intrigued by the possibilities of satellite surveillance and global data networks, tools that could potentially lead them to her people's captors or their scattered tribes. One late afternoon, as the sun dipped below the skyline, casting long shadows across the gym, Zara halted their training with a raised hand. "Luke," she said, a new resolve in her tone, "it's time we take the next step. We've prepared, and now we must act. I've tracked a signal, faint but distinct, possible Twari technology. It's time to test our strengths in the real world." Luke nodded, his own determination mirroring hers. "Then let's do it. We'll start first thing tomorrow. Whatever it takes, we're in this together." That night, as they parted ways, there was a sense of anticipation in the air. They were no longer just a duo bound by circumstance. They were comrades, warriors on a quest not just for vengeance, but for justice. Zara's story was no longer one of solitary suffering. It was now a shared saga of resilience and impending reclamation. With the dawn casting a soft glow over the city, Luke and Zara set out to trace the faint signal Zara had detected. Using a mix of her ancestral technology knowledge and Earth's advanced tracking systems, they pinpointed a possible location in a remote area of the Nevada desert. It was a stark, barren place, far removed from prying eyes, which made it an ideal hiding spot for anyone wanting to stay unnoticed. As they drove through the desolate landscape, Zara's tension was palpable. She was heading into potentially hostile territory, a step closer to confronting her past. Luke sensed her unease and tried to lighten the mood with small talk, but the gravity of their mission weighed heavily on them both. Upon reaching the coordinates, they found an abandoned industrial site, structures dilapidated and overtaken by the harsh desert elements. They proceeded with caution, Zara leading with the alertness of a seasoned warrior, Luke closely following, his hand on the pistol he'd learned to use under Zara's tutelage. As they breached a rusted door leading into the main warehouse, a sudden ambush caught them off guard. Armed figures emerged from the shadows, their weapons trained on the intruders. Zara reacted instinctively, disarming the closest attacker with a swift, precise move. Luke managed to take down another, his aim steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. The skirmish was brief but intense. Zara interrogated one of the captured assailants, her fierce demeanor coaxing the truth from him. They were mercenaries, hired to guard the location by a mysterious client interested in alien technology. This confirmed Zara's suspicions that remnants of her people's technology were being traded on the black market, likely remnants from the war that had decimated her planet. With new information and a renewed sense of purpose, Luke and Zara cleared the site, ensuring no threats remained. They found a cache of alien artifacts, not Twari, but similar in age and design. Zara explained that these were likely from neighboring systems, allies of her people, which suggested a larger network of interstellar smuggling. Their success at the warehouse prompted a deeper investigation. Over the following weeks, they followed leads across Earth, from hidden markets in the shadows of Asia's sprawling megacities to secretive auctions in Europe's old world enclaves. Each raid and recovery operation brought them closer to the underworld dealing in extraterrestrial relics. With each encounter, the stakes grew higher. News of their actions started to attract attention, not just from Earth's law enforcement and underworld, but from the interstellar community. Bounty hunters and mercenaries from other worlds began to take an interest in the duo, drawn by the bounty placed on Zara's head by those who wanted her silenced. One evening, as they planned their next move in a safe house, a surprise attack tested their preparedness. A band of alien bounty hunters, skilled and merciless, launched a coordinated strike. The battle was fierce, pushing both Luke and Zara to their limits. They managed to fend off the attackers, but the encounter was a stark reminder of the dangers they faced. Breathing heavily after the last of the attackers fell, Zara looked at Luke, her expression grim but resolute. "This won't be the last of them," she warned. "The more we uncover, the more they will come for us. We are unraveling a network that spans galaxies, and they will not let go easily." Luke nodded, understanding the magnitude of their fight. "Then we'll be ready. We've come this far, and we're not backing down now. You've got my back, and I've got yours." Together, they prepared for what was to come, strengthening their defenses and planning their next steps. The conflict had escalated, drawing them into a shadowy war much larger than either had anticipated. But with each battle, their alliance strengthened, forged in the fire of shared combat and a mutual commitment to their cause. As Luke and Zara delved deeper into the tangled web of interstellar smuggling, their pursuit led them to a distant, rugged planet known as Carix, a notorious haven for outlaws and mercenaries. It was here, they believed, that they would find the core operations of the network that had dispersed Zara's people's artifacts. Upon landing, the bleak, rocky terrain of Carix offered no welcome, only the harsh winds that swept across its desolate landscape. They disguised themselves as traders, blending in with the myriad of creatures that frequented the planet for illicit deals. Zara was uneasy, her warrior spirit on high alert, sensing the danger that permeated this place. Their first task was to gather information. They frequented dingy bars and shadowy meeting spots, listening and observing. Zara's fluency in several intergalactic languages proved invaluable as they pieced together snippets of conversations, slowly mapping out the hierarchy of the smuggling ring. It wasn't long before their probing attracted unwanted attention. One evening, while negotiating for information with a low-level smuggler, they were ambushed by a group led by none other than a rival Amazon, a survivor from another tribe, Kayla, whose loyalty had turned to the lucrative promise of the black market. The encounter was explosive, a confrontation steeped in personal and cultural betrayal. Kayla was a formidable warrior, her skills honed not for honor but for profit. The clash between her and Zara was not just physical, but deeply emotional, each strike a manifestation of their fractured history. Luke provided cover, his recent training allowing him to hold off Kayla's underlings, while Zara focused on her former kin. The fight was brutal, pushing both Amazons to their limits. Zara, fueled by a mix of rage and sorrow, fought not only for her people's artifacts, but also to reclaim the honor of her tribe from Kayla's tarnished hands. As they battled, Zara tried to reach out to Kayla, urging her to remember their once shared values. "This is not our way. Our honor is not for sale," she shouted over the clash of their weapons. Kayla, sneering, replied with hardened spite, "Honor does not feed you, Zara. It does not warm you in the cold of space. I do what I must to survive." But survival was not enough for Zara. With a final, decisive move, she disarmed Kayla, pinning her to the ground, her weapon at her throat. The fight drained from Kayla's eyes as she realized her defeat was not just physical, but moral. We are not our circumstances, Kayla. We are our choices, Zara declared, her voice echoing with the weight of their history and her unwavering conviction. With Kayla's surrender, the tide turned. Luke and Zara used the opportunity to raid the smuggling ring's main cache, finding not only Twari artifacts, but also items from other civilizations, all bound for the black market. They secured the artifacts, calling in contacts Luke had made with interstellar law enforcement to take custody of the items and the smugglers. As they watched the smugglers being led away, Luke turned to Zara, noticing the mix of triumph and sadness in her eyes. "What now?" he asked, knowing that while they had won this battle, the war was far from over. Zara looked out over the barren expanse of Carix, her gaze resolute. "We continue," she said simply. "This victory is a step towards restoring what was lost. But there is more to do, more to reclaim." Together, they prepared to leave Carix, the battle for honor, leaving both scars and resolutions in its wake. Their journey had not only altered the course of their lives, but had begun to shift the cosmic scales of justice. Zara's destiny, once bound by the frozen solitude of cryosleep, was now a fiery pursuit of redemption, with Luke steadfastly by her side. After their victory on Carix, Luke and Zara continued their pursuit, following leads that spiraled out from the smuggling network to the darkest corners of the galaxy. They were now known entities in the underworld, their actions reverberating among the stars. With each successful raid and recovery, their reputation grew, as did the list of enemies seeking to halt their crusade. Their journey eventually led them back to Earth, to the heart of an interstellar summit held under the guise of peace, but marred by the undercurrents of deeper conflicts. Information had reached them that the warlord responsible for the downfall of Zara's people, a notorious figure known as Gorth, would be attending. Gorth had not only orchestrated the destruction of Twari, but had since been involved in numerous other conflicts, spreading chaos wherever he went. Armed with the knowledge of Gorth's whereabouts and intent, Zara and Luke planned their most dangerous mission yet. They infiltrated the summit under false identities, blending into the diverse crowd of diplomats, warriors, and traitors. Their plan was clear: expose Gorth and bring him to justice, not just for Zara's people, but for all his victims across the galaxy. As the summit proceeded, tensions rose, not just from the political rhetoric, but also from the undercurrent of impending confrontation. Luke and Zara maneuvered through the summit security, using every skill and trick they had learned together. When the moment came, during a grand assembly, they made their move. Zara stepped into the light, her presence commanding the attention of the entire assembly. She accused Gorth, pointing him out amongst the crowd, her voice resonant and unwavering. "This is the face of betrayal and destruction," she declared, detailing his crimes not just against her people but against many others, using evidence they had gathered along their journey. Gorth, caught off guard but ever defiant, denied the accusations, calling on his guards to seize her. But the assembly was in uproar, the seeds of doubt planted by Zara's words growing into chaos. Luke, anticipating the need for more than words, had arranged for allies they had made, survivors and warriors from other affected worlds, to be present. Together, they stood with Zara, a united front against Gorth's tyranny. The confrontation escalated into a skirmish within the assembly hall. Zara and Luke fought side by side, their bond a testament to their journey. Gorth, realizing the tide was turning against him, attempted to flee, but he was intercepted by Luke, who managed to subdue him with a daring maneuver learned from Zara. With Gorth captured and his crimes exposed, the assembly took swift action. He was tried and convicted by a coalition of worlds, his reign of terror brought to an end. Zara's role in his downfall became a symbol of justice and reclamation, her story spreading across the stars. As peace was negotiated and alliances were forged in the aftermath of the summit, Zara and Luke had a moment to reflect on their journey. They stood together, looking out over the cityscape of Earth, where it had all begun. "You changed my destiny, Luke," Zara said, her voice soft but filled with the strength of a warrior who had found her path. "But more than that, You reminded me that no fate is sealed. We forged a new destiny together. Luke smiled, his hand finding hers. And you showed me that humanity has a place among the stars, not just as explorers, but as guardians of justice. Together, we did more than I ever imagined. As they turned to leave, ready to face whatever new adventures awaited them, their legacy was already being written. The Earthling and the Amazon warrior, once bound by chance, now stood as symbols of hope and unity, a testament to the power of shared destinies and the relentless pursuit of justice. Their story, a blend of human tenacity and Amazonian honor, would be told for generations, a beacon for those who believed in the strength of unity and the valor of the righteous. Humanity, indeed, had found its place among the stars, with Luke and Zara leading the way.